All
You
right.
alright?
I guess I'm kicking it off. So, hello everyone. I'm Jeffrey. This week we listened to Malibu Ken by Malibu Ken. So, yeah, self-titled album. In case anyone is not familiar, just to make sure, Malibu Ken is a duo of Aesop Rock and Tobacco. And I don't know too much about Tobacco. Never heard of him before going into this album, but he's like a producer. Aesop Rock makes hip hop. So yeah, I picked this album because it was one of Aesop's more recent works, but it was also very short. So only like a 35-minute runtime. Overall thoughts. When I first listened to this, I wasn't a big fan of the production. It was a lot more, I guess, like electronic, like a lot of like beats and boops, which is very different to what I've heard in the past from Aesop. So I've like listened to One Shall Pass, The Impossible Kid, and Yellowthon, and I really enjoyed the production on those albums as well. For this one, I wasn't a huge fan on the first few listens through, but I think as I listened to the album more and more, it kind of grew on me. I definitely wouldn't say it's as good as, or like that I like it more than the previous work that I've listened to, but it's definitely improved the more I listen to it, which is kind of nice. Top three tracks for me were Corn Maze, Tuesday, and 1 plus 1 equals 13. Probably a huge factor in that is because I understand those tracks the most out of the rest of the songs. I have a vague idea about what some of the other songs are about, but I don't fully get them yet. Whereas I feel like those three tracks are a bit more obvious with their references and just like general themes as well. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. So far, I would say like a 7.5 out of 10, which could bump up even more the more I understand the album and the more I listen to it.
Um, I've been a little busy this week, so I didn't really engage with the album very much. I listened to it for the first time in the gym at 8 o'clock today, and I listened to it again maybe half an hour ago. And obviously, this is enough time to really judge it properly, but I didn't like it very much. I found the production pretty interesting, and it reminded me of some other stuff I've listened to, which I'll bring up once we get to it. But the only track I really liked was 1 plus 1 equals 13, and I didn't mind Purple Moss either. The rest of it just sort of flew by me. Didn't find it all that engaging. Aesop Rock's always like excellent on the mic, but I need to engage more to really understand what it's on about, so I can't really judge it for what it's saying. But based on what I've heard, I'll give it a 5.
It was okay. Some of the songs I have very mixed feelings about because I like a lot of the songs, and this was throughout the album. I'd be like vibing to the song, and then some weird shit would happen in the background of the dude rapping, and I'd be like, what the fuck? Favorite track was Save Our Ship. I also really like Churro. I'd give the album like a 6. Not amazed, but I didn't mind it.
Uh, I've listened to the album twice. I especially liked 1 plus 1 equals 13, especially the synths in the background.
Um,
They were probably the highlight of the entire album. And I liked like the end part of Corn Maze. But then all the other songs just sort of molded into one for me and didn't really like it that much. Give it like a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, all right. Well, I've listened to this album, I think around a dozen times. I've just had it on loop just to like really sink it in. I listened to it when it came out, and I also fucking despised it. We were just like, what the fuck? This shit's on fucking cheeks. Yeah, I don't know. I definitely liked it a lot more having listened to it a bajillion times, but I still don't think it's necessarily that great. Maybe it's just me. I think I'll start off with production. Even though it doesn't like I don't like it that much. At least it's interesting. At least like there's some sort of overarching sense of like everything has like a certain type of musicality to it. I can put this on if I'm like in this particular mood. I don't know when I'd be in this mood, but maybe, right? So I give it that. Also, another thing about the production, some weird ass fucking on some of the songs, there's these really weird vocals really buried into the mix that are fucking awful. I hate them with like all my being. Like really robotic, low in the mix. I think it's 1 plus 1 equals 13.
oh, I
There's like those.
love that.
I hate that track. On a bunch of tracks, these fucking vocals, which I just don't understand why anyone would like them because you can't even understand what they're saying. They're done non-rhythmically, so I can't even like hum it. It's just there to just be annoying. What else? The lyrics as well. He's got a few standout lyrics here and there. I particularly like on Purple Moss, which is my favorite track. I talk like it hurts to talk. Mascot of Murphy's Law. Goes off. That's a fucking hard fucking line. That shit goes fucking hard. And then
Whoa.
I like Acid King as well, especially towards the end with like the synths and stuff. And at one point, like a guitar comes in, which is like kind of ironic because I remember in one of the other album clubs, I was like, where the fuck was the guitar in the mix beforehand? But this time it worked well. Also, another thing I'd say, the holy fuck, does anyone like the choruses on this album? I
I like
fucking
one
Yeah,
plus
I
one
hate
enjoy
equals
them.
them.
I
They
13s.
like them.
suck. They suck
Some
so
of them.
much. 1 + 1 = 13. Someone out there show me a sign. Some shit like that. It was fucking ugh. Didn't like that. And I also hated there's something you should probably know before we go too far. My neighbor found a mushroom growing inside of my car.
Yeah.
I hated that. I listened to that. I'm like, ugh. I don't like. It's just said so awfully. I would say, although I teased the fuck out of it, I still think a lot of it is enjoyable, and I respect it as an album quite a bit. And I like once again, Purple Moss, Acid King, Save Our Ship. I think right at the end it goes really hard. I would give it a 6 out of 10. I like it more than I hate it.
Let me
Okay,
get the
so this
yeah.
it's a very different album to anything I've ever listened to, but also I've only listened to like maybe 4 things. So it was fun. I didn't dislike anything,
Awesome.
but I liked how synthy and melodic the songs were. I didn't understand any of the words. It was a bit too fast and clever for me, but I just liked the vibe of each thing. I did like Purple Moss the best, and I
Okay.
think I liked Swordbox.
Awesome.
Okay.
I like Swordbox and Purple Moss. It was nice. I enjoyed it.
What would you
Nice.
rate it? Out of 10.
6.
Okay.
6. I did enjoy it, but I wouldn't listen to it over and over, or even more than once or twice.
I thought this album was pretty interesting, but I didn't really like it overall. I just thought it was mediocre. I thought the PS1 game instrumentals didn't really go well with Aesop Rock rapping. Maybe I just didn't like his rapping at all. I think it was Save Our Ship or Tuesday. A lot of them actually sound like fucking something you'd hear in Spyro, like the first or second Spyro.
Which songs?
Save Our Ship.
Or Tuesday.
Yeah. Save Our Ship. The the instrumental sounds like I don't know, like a cloud level in Spyro. But yeah, I agree. I liked Purple Moss the most, but I wasn't too impressed with the rest of the album. Give it a 5 out of 10 total.
Okay. So now we'll talk more generally about the songs, and Jackie and Varun, if you guys are tired and want to go.
I have notes that I want
Okay.
to say before I go.
Okay.
Alright, cool.
What are your
Go
notes?
for it.
When I was making my notes, the very first thing that I wrote was album cover makes me uncomfortable.
Right.
I
I
did
think it's
not
my favorite thing about the album.
Yeah.
I
For,
really don't like it.
Album cover's pretty ugly.
What? I love the album
Yeah.
cover.
During my general review, I said something along the lines of throughout every single song, there's like bits I like, and then there'll be like some weird shit going on in the background that I don't like. And I feel like this feeling was most exemplified in Tuesday. It's like an early bridge in like the around the 1 minute mark, whatever the fuck that like siren thing was, just ruined the song for me. And
That's
like shit like
interesting.
that just happened.
I was just
Do
a
you guys
werewolf outside
know?
your house, bro.
The police.
Like, do you guys know what I'm talking about? That
Yeah,
weird
Yeah.
siren.
I just re-listened to it, and
It's at
I
49
remember
seconds.
Tuesday being my third favorite song for this very reason. I thought that was cool and interesting.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
You
I
like that
kind of
part.
liked it when he shut up for a bit so I could hear the tune.
I hated that the most. It was at 49 seconds. If anyone is curious and wants to go listen to what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I
I think
can
that's
hear.
just a synth that's like
Yeah.
drenched in reverb. I can't fucking tell what that is.
Yeah, it's just a synth.
Yeah.
And also on that track is John's buried vocals, just at
Yeah.
that point too.
Oh, that's
love
what you're
that.
talking about, John.
Do you like those?
I like those.
Yeah,
vocals?
it reminds me a
Yeah.
lot of Kraftwerk.
What the
Some
fuck?
of their music has that buried, super synthesized,
it.
harmonized vocal that sounds really
It adds to
cool.
the like
It's
mystical.
cool.
It adds to like the mystical vibe of it. Such synth-heavy instrumentals, and I don't know. It just feels like
I don't know why. Like
Yeah.
I can see maybe now maybe I can see the appeal, but for me like
You're not supposed to know what it says. It's like sort of
Mm,
another instrument in the mix. Think of it as like a sample,
yeah,
yeah, but it's not really
a
adding any
vocal
sort of
sample.
rhythm or melody. I don't know
it's
if
cool. I
I'm
love it.
thinking about it
I
too
think it adds
much.
melody.
yeah.
It's sort of
I
because
personally just don't think it's very cool.
At
That's
first,
just
I
me.
wasn't like a huge fan of it. Like, I wasn't sure if I liked it or not. It wasn't that I disliked it, but I wasn't sure.
Right?
But the more I listened to it, the more I enjoyed it. That was another factor, along with the production as a whole,
Yeah.
that slowly grew on me as well.
Yeah.
I
How
think on
often?
that song specifically on Tuesday, you sort of get like a wall of like synthesizer sound, right? And I just think it's another layer that makes it like super like it sort of has this like breadth
Okay. Okay.
in a way that, if it was just like a one synth without
Mm.
layering, it wouldn't be as claustrophobic or interesting like it is.
I think
I think
I like.
Tuesday's a good song.
I think the instrumentals are better without the rap. Like, I think it would be better if there was just no vocals whatsoever.
Yeah.
Because I think the
Yeah.
instrumentals are quite cool.
Well, I think so too, to be honest. I think this may be my problem with it.
I
Like,
feel as if Aesop Rock's flow is super like weird sometimes. And some of the
That's true.
delivery of his lines are just fucking odd.
Yeah. That's not a
It
symptom
doesn't
of
feel
like
well
this
with me.
album though. It's kind of Aesop Rock has always been kind of like that. Some of his like he has really good flow a lot of the times, but some of his times his flow gets really choppy. I feel like he's trying to use lyrics that don't necessarily fit the flow because he uses such strange lyrics. That's kind of just a symptom of what will happen. But I do agree. This album probably does have some of the choppiest flows of his career.
I didn't like any of the synths. When Kamal said he liked the
Nah,
synths, I was fucking losing my mind.
there's
It's
synths
like
everywhere. If you hate the synths, you hate the whole album. You can't say
Yeah.
that.
yeah.
I will say, this album feels like a transition album, but you guys won't understand this because you guys don't really listen to as much works. But his beats have been more like rock centric rather than the classic hip hop style of beats and production.
Yep.
So in the album after this, Spirit World Field Guide, you kind of see the fruits of this album's labors, and he's kind of refined the sound down a bit more, so it makes more sense in that context. One thing I do think about this album is that I like the synths, but I don't think they serve much of a purpose. Like in Spirit World Field Guide, it's about spirituality, and so the outwardly synth sounds make more sense in that context. But in this album, he's kind of just rapping about what he normally would, anyways. So I don't think the synths really match the message that well, apart from just sounding cool or terrible, depending on who you are. That's one
Yeah, that's
criticism.
an interesting assessment to
That's
take.
one criticism
That's a
I
good
have
take.
of the album.
I have a question.
What is the question, Cal?
How much do you replay an album before you come to album club?
It depends on the time you have.
Because
If you're busy like
yeah.
Depends on the
Manny,
person.
yeah, I tend to listen to it at least 2 to 3 times because listening to an album once is just not enough.
Yeah, once or twice is definitely like you won't notice a lot of things. You
Yeah.
could definitely tell if you like it off the first one. There is a chance it probably changes after a few listens, but yeah.
Yeah. And typically at some point, I tend to just chuck it on while I do work or
Yeah.
something in the background. So that even if I'm not actively listening to it, you still get the vibe and
Yeah. And you notice
just
small
see how it
parts,
feels.
like, oh, I like this part or something.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay. So,
Well, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about Aesop Rock as a rapper, just generally. Like we've sort of half spoken about it,
uh,
but
Okay. I mean, I've already listened to like 3 of his albums, and I've greatly enjoyed all 3 of them. Despite not fully understanding every single track on each one, for the most part, I do really like his style of rap. And I like how even an album like Malibu Ken, even though it's like 35 minutes, it's something for me that I could feel like I could listen to over and over again. And because it's so lyrically dense, I could get more meaning out of it every time I pay more attention to like a different song or like a different like verse or whatever.
right.
And that's generally always been what I expect when I listen to like an Aesop Rock song or album.
And that's kind of part of the fun of listening to him. Because oftentimes I won't search the lyrics and I'll just listen to it slowly over years. And, you'll notice one lyric that says something and you'll be like, oh, maybe he's trying to say this. And then it's just like slowly you kind of piece together a story that he might be trying to tell you, but you can never really be sure. And that's what
Yeah.
I enjoy a lot about his music as well.
Part of the fun is figuring out the meaning for me. Just like what is the song about? And then there's like a shit ton of references in between that I definitely don't
Yeah,
get.
he's very American.
But at the same time, you try to get the idea of what he's trying to convey,
Yeah,
and then it feels good when it makes sense.
it's rare to see an artist where like just the general gist of what he's trying to say is so obscured.
I think the manner in which Aesop's music and lyrics are obscure is different to like the way most like music is obscure or can be obscure, in the sense that it's like a big puzzle versus just like they're sort of lyrically flailing, whereas Aesop's precise and like knows exactly what they're saying, but they're not making it easy for us to understand, you know?
Yeah, and Kamel, whether that's good or not is contentious.
It's up to you.
Yeah, some people really enjoy this type of lyrical puzzling, and others find it really obnoxious and what's the word?
See, I personally have to really be in the mood for it. Otherwise, I just find it tiring and I don't care because I generally like once I get it, I often find I'm like, oh, okay, cool. This doesn't really mean much to me.
Even
I haven't learnt much, or it doesn't mean it's not meaningful in my eyes.
yeah, but all up to interpretation. So whether you like it or
Exactly.
not is completely up to you.
It's why I like the Impossible Kid a lot because it's
One does.
quite personal at times.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of his music is personal.
No,
For
absolutely.
sure. I think something
But
else I really enjoy is that he sort of just raps about whatever
Yeah, whatever he
in a
wants.
lot of his songs. Whatever the topic is, it can actually just be about like anything.
Yeah.
It can be like really personal, stuff about like him talking to like his shrink or like his cat or whatever.
He's got a song about his
Um,
cat.
He does have a song about his
He
cat.
does have a song about his cat, yes.
Whoa, I need to listen to this.
He got a song.
it's called Kirby.
His
Yeah,
cat's called
Kirby.
Kirby, and his therapist recommended it for him. Yeah, I agree with Jeff. I do like how he just raps about whatever the fuck he wants. It really feels like someone who's just jotting down his thoughts to the world, and just like trying to tell whatever is on his mind. And I enjoy that. I think it's kind of cute and it's quaint, and I enjoy it a lot. Yeah, this album does not deviate greatly from his regular songwriting. Acid King is one of my favorite songs ever. I think it's the most dynamic song on the album. Not necessarily
Yeah.
musically, but in the storytelling. It is about the real life murder of Gary Lowers. And what happens and why it's called Acid King is because the murderer himself is called the Acid King.
What Acid King?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this murder occurred in his hometown, not when he was a child, but when he was a child, he definitely would have heard a lot about it. And in the song, it feels like a campfire tale where Aesop Rock is telling us about the myths he heard as a kid, and it's quite gruesome actually. Churro is my next favorite song.
Do you like the chorus like a giant fucking eagle or I don't know?
I like it. I like all the
For
choruses.
real?
I told you I like all the
They're so
choruses.
bad. They're so awful.
They grow on you. They really do. I don't know if they grow on you.
I've listened to a dozen and it did not grow on me.
Look, he's not known for his choruses. I wouldn't say it's the best part of the album, but I do find myself singing them. Like,
I feel as if for real.
Yeah,
You're just walking around saying this shit.
yeah, I agree. Like when I had it like on loop, just like doing work and stuff, I just randomly be like, I don't know.
I don't know. It's
I don't
funny.
know, it's kind of fun to say.
It's funny. It's fun. I enjoy it. I don't know.
It's funny that you guys are saying it, but I don't find it funny when he's saying it. I feel as if the production doesn't often reflect,
What
I
the song
guess,
was about?
the storytelling.
Yeah.
Or the writing.
Yeah, okay.
Which is why Purple Moss is like so good. It's like the only melancholic track, or at least like it slows down a bit.
Purple
You
Moss
can
definitely
really
is a
like,
good outro track to the album.
yeah. I really liked. I remember there was a beat change right at the end of something. At the end of Swordbox, shit slapped.
Swordbox is a
Maybe
really
like the
good song.
last 30 seconds. I just
Oh,
wish the songs were more
the
dynamic
end of
and
Swordbox?
more like,
I actually don't like it that much.
yeah. What?
The,
It's my
I
favorite
know,
part of the
to
whole
listen
song.
to it again.
yeah, the end of
Like
Swordbox.
the very last 30
Really?
seconds. Yeah.
Yeah, the album is not very dynamic. But to be honest, I feel like if the album was super dynamic, then that would get really overwhelming because he's already saying so much shit that I'm trying to listen to that
Mm.
if the album was super dynamic, it would take away from it,
I think, yeah, I can see your point, and I don't think it necessarily needs to be dynamic just because like the sound is so consistent.
Yeah.
Like, and even though it does like from afar look very samey, there's a lot of nuances between the tracks. So like it's honestly fine.
Yeah. But A$AP Rocky is a weird artist where like you really need to listen to what he's saying to fully enjoy his music, you know?
Yeah, but like the thing is, it's like you could be trying really hard to listen to it, and then you do, and it's just about some bold evils.
There's nothing wrong with that
Like, how
though.
much are you really gaining out of it?
I
Like,
enjoy
you got
it.
to be already sort of invested in who he is and what he has to say for like a song like that to be enjoyable for you, right? Like coming out for
I
like,
mean,
to be fair, I only really like "Float" by ASAP
I mean,
Rocky. Yeah.
I generally dislike songs about big ideas and things like that. I kind of enjoy more mundane thoughts because I don't know. I feel like all the big ideas have been explored better and more interestingly in other texts that I don't really care anymore about what someone has to say about love or death or whatever, you know? And I just enjoy listening
Yeah.
to some dude rap about bald eagles that he saw on the television for the sake of seeing it, you know?
I think everyone's perspective matters.
Oh,
Even though someone could
L.
do it better, you could always, say it the way you want to say it, and as long as like the artists in and of themselves are saying it like with some sort of passion or with some sort of care, it will come off good. Like
Yeah,
99% of songs are about love or some
yeah,
fucking bullshit. It's like,
but with songs about love, I feel like it's how they sing it rather than what they're singing, you know? I don't think I've ever listened to a song and been like, wow, this has changed my perspective about love. But it's more about the
oh yeah, for
emotion
sure.
that they're singing it with.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I'd wager, Sam, like with the tracks, that you say that you prefer because they speak about the mundane, full stop. I don't think that's entirely true because songs that often appear mundane say a lot about more things,
yeah, like who they are
like
and what they,
Mm,
who
yeah,
they are, what they're about, the human condition, and
yeah.
that
I
other
was
things.
gonna say it's typically those more like random, mundane tracks that aren't about like big ideas. Typically, they are more
Yeah, they
personal
feel more
because
personal.
it's just about what he's thinking about at the time,
Yeah,
and so it gives you a bit of insight into what he's going through
yeah, I agree.
in that time that
I
he
agree.
wrote it, and I think that's what makes it a lot more meaningful in that way. Like, sure, he's not, talking about the human experience as a whole, but it's his own experience,
Right.
and so I think that's what improves it for me.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like,
but don't you feel as if like you need some sort of investment in like ASAP, ASAP Rocky as who he is as a person for
I
that
don't
to
know.
like for you to care about like his personal experiences, like to the extent where you can be super specific and you can still draw something out of it. I
I
feel that's like the problem when like someone's super specific about something, it loses relatability a lot.
Yeah, but I always
You know
find
what I
it.
mean?
It's always like we can always. I think I can always empathize with someone just thinking something or just like having a small dumb thought. It's like when Kamel tells me something stupid he thought on the toilet. You know, like what does it? What does it really mean to like get to know someone
Yeah,
or like to?
see, that's nice because it's coming from Kameo and it's coming from because like you like
But it's
ASAP
charming.
Rocky
I
already.
always think I'll enjoy it
Then
if
it's
someone did that.
charming for you. But if I feel as if you don't have this connection with an artist or a friend, then like this comes off as super
I don't. I disagree.
random, and
Yeah, no,
it's hard
I
to
don't.
empathize.
Yeah, for
At
me,
least
I
for me
don't think
personally.
so.
Yeah, I think as if someone told me that this a complete stranger and was like, "Oh, I was thinking this the other day," I'd be like, "Ah, that's cool." Yeah, I would enjoy listening to them talk about whatever the fuck they were thinking about on the train or in the shower or whatever, without
I don't know.
having to know them.
Eh, I don't know.
I don't know.
I think Manny was gonna say how this album kind of reminded him of some other albums or some like other musical
Yeah,
styles.
I
I'm kind of
mentioned it
interested
before. It
to
just
know.
sounded like Kraftwerk a lot of the time, and
Oh,
a lot of
Kraftwerk.
the synths
I know
sounded
Craft.
pretty ancient, all things considered. I just found it interesting. Like, I don't know
I
where
think
they
Finn said
were
right that
sampled
it's like
from.
PS1 sounds.
No, I
PS2
disagree with
sounds.
that. They're a lot older sounding
It
than
sounds
that.
like the PS2 startup sound.
PS2
No,
Startup? No, don't think so.
no.
Do you think you will listen to this album equally amongst Non-Child Pass and the other albums, Jeff?
Essentially, like definitely in the short term, I would probably listen to it more because I still want to give it even more time for it to grow on me. I did listen to it quite a bit throughout the week. So in the short term, I'm going to be listening to it over and over again.
Okay, that's this album club done, I guess.
Yeah.
You done? We
Yeah.
putting a lid on it?
Yeah, put that on it.
I will see you next week.